Welcome to Be Me with Shari Ware, the podcast where each day is a step towards a better you and where we focus on progress, not perfection. Join me as we embark on a journey of self-improvement and wellness, focusing on being just a little better than we were yesterday. Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Be Me podcast. My name's Shari Ware, I'm your host, and in this episode we are talking about the beginning of my van life adventure. I found a perfect quote for this episode. Sometimes the most scenic roads in life are the detours you didn't mean to take, by Angela N. Blount. And that's 1000% correct in my case. Most of my plans do not go to plan. I've just learnt over my lifetime thus far that it's okay. I always end up where I'm meant to be, when I'm meant to be there. And some of the most amazing moments and memories have been in those detours that I didn't mean to take. So Angela wrote a book called Once Upon a Road Trip, and I'll make sure you have a link to that in the show notes to check out on Amazon. Now, I have actually done a written edition of Be Me Bites on the actual journey that this podcast episode is covering, which is my very first trip on at the beginning of my van life adventure, which was from when I moved out of my house and travelling down to my dad's in South Australia because there's some remodelling needing to be done on Princess Panda, my camper van. And that was the beginning of the journey. So van life adventure has officially begun. Princess Lulu and I are on the road after months of I say planning and preparation, but it was really just the preparation, not so much the planning. That took a long time. And I didn't want this episode to just be a travel update regurgitating what I already put in the written edition. I really wanted this to be a bit more in depth about the lessons and the challenges and the surprises that come with stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is really, that's the whole reason why I did this, was because I really needed to get out of my comfort zone. And leave the familiar behind. And I wanted to go into a bit more depth on some of those things. You can only put so much in a written edition. I don't like to make things really long because people are time poor. I also don't like to make podcast episodes really long. So in this case, I'm using both of them to complement each other. So the first thing I want to touch on is that the moving out of the house, the renting the house, that process was actually a lot more difficult and challenging than I thought it would be. I guess when you think about moving out of a house, generally you might get rid of some things, you might throw away some things, you might donate some things, you might have a bit of a clear out, but you generally pack everything up, move it to the next house and then unpack it. Well, that's not what we were doing. I'm moving into a camper van, so all of the stuff in my house will not fit in my camper van. We had decided to rent the house out. And we really liked our furniture, and we don't know how long this adventure is going to be for. It might be for 12 months, it might be for 2 years, it might be for longer, we just don't know. Nobody knows where life is going to take you. So we didn't want to get rid of our furniture because we really liked it. And I also didn't think it was smart to put it in storage and have to pay for storage and maybe it go mouldy or whatever, you never know. And I thought that our tenants could enjoy our furniture as much as we did. So we decided that the smartest thing to do was rent the house out fully furnished. Well, that made things just a little bit more difficult because we had to look at everything. We had to go through everything with a different lens. So, and we also have a storage room in the house, and under the stairs storage. So just like Harry Potter's room, my daughter will love that connection I just made. Which is, it's fairly big, but it's not massive. And it doesn't take away from the storage for the tenants because the garage has lots of shelves with lots of storage space for them. So we thought that what we what we should do is put our personal effects that we didn't want to get rid of, those really special things that we didn't want to get rid of but we couldn't fit in the van, we put them in the storage room, and we could put a lock on that like an Airbnb type thing. So when we were going through everything, we had to be really brutal, number one, because we only have so much space in the camper van, in the storage room. That's it. So we had to look at everything, think, okay, is this something that is personal, but we don't want our tenants to, it's not for our tenants, it's our own personal stuff. Okay, that goes in the storage room. Is it something that the tenants could use and get good use out of? So then it stayed in the house. Anything that was crappy, we either threw away. Anything that was still, reasonable, but not necessary, couldn't really see the tenants having any use for it, we donated a lot of stuff. Let me tell you, the charity shops in our area thought it was Christmas. We had carloads and carloads and carloads of stuff that we donated. I definitely have got hoarding on both sides of my family, and I can definitely see that tendency in me. Sometimes I do hold on to things just in case I need it. I've gotten much better over the years, especially with the work that I've done with our amazing feng shui consultant, but it still is a process, and there were still things that, even with all the moves that I've done over my lifetime, there's some things I just didn't want to let go just in case. And I actually managed to let go, not of all of it, but of a lot more of it this time round, because I knew I didn't have the luxury of being able to take it with me or having somewhere to store it, because I could only fit so much in those in those places where I was storing things. So the process really was not easy. It was really challenging. It was emotional. However, it was necessary. It was absolutely necessary. And I'm so glad that I put myself in a position to have to go through that, because I felt so much better after it was all finished, exhausted, but I felt really good. And letting go created space mentally and emotionally, as well as physically, for a new chapter, for a new adventure, for a new journey to begin. So I guess the message that I'm trying to convey is that transitions are messy. They can be really messy. They can be really chaotic. They can be really emotional. But that's where the growth happens. And I felt like I was ready. By the time I'd finished, I was definitely ready to start my new adventure. Now, along the way, just a couple of highlights. I've put like a pretty much a blow by blow in the written edition, but a couple of things I want to highlight in this episode of the podcast is that when it comes to food, when you're on the road trip, so on the actual road trip now, I had to. I was a bit concerned about the food. I wanted to be as healthy as I could be. I did take some food with me, but time, a few things made it a bit challenging to be preparing food on the way. This wasn't the van. This wasn't a time where I'm going to have time. When I'm actually on my van life adventure properly, I'm going to have time to be doing all the normal things. But I had a place I needed to get to for this first trip, and I wanted to get there by a certain time, and I was on my own and traveling with a pet. So there are a few challenges in there, and it made it a bit more difficult with food. So I was concerned about options at service stations and service centres and things along the way. So I was so happy to find a place called Oliver's, and they had really lovely, healthy, nourishing food. And unfortunately, the only problem with Oliver's is that there's not enough of them, and I only had one on the way. But that one really stood out, and I really wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And if anybody is looking to open a franchise, please open an Oliver's, because we need more of them. The other thing with traveling with Princess Lulu. So, Princess Lulu is my daughter's chihuahua, her fur baby, and we decided that it was better for Princess Lily to come with me because for the foreseeable future, my daughter's housing situation is not stable. She's still working, and she actually works at a in a retail store, so she can't work from anywhere like I do. But there will be times where she will come and join me. She'll take some time off work and come and join me and do some travelling with Princess Lulu and I. And when you're not stable when you have to move from house to house, which is, that's currently what she's doing, it's not as easy when you have an animal. Whereas I'm in the camper van, Princess Lulu can always come with me. And we just thought that it was the best thing to do for now until circumstances change. So Princess Lulu and I hit the road, and I have to say I felt like a single mum with a baby because I couldn't leave Princess Lulu in the car. Number one, it was summer, so even for 5 minutes, I just couldn't do it. The other thing is, I guess, like a lot of dogs, Princess Lulu is very curious, and she will get into anything that she's not meant to get into. And so I just did not feel safe leaving her in the car for both of those reasons for any period of time, even 1 or 2 minutes on her own. So that meant that she had to come with me everywhere, even when I had to go pay for fuel, when I needed to get a cup of coffee, when I needed to go to a toilet in a service centre, and that could have been tricky. So, and also driving. I was a bit concerned about the actual driving because Princess Lulu, up to that point, didn't like car rides. So, I have two amazing solutions to both of those problems. The first, we'll talk about the car ride. My daughter found a pet seat. I'll say pet seat, but actually, it wasn't a seat as such. It's like a collapsible crate, an open collapsible crate, and it had straps that strap onto the headrest on the seat, so it can't go anywhere. It's stable, and then inside it's got a strap with a clip, so I could clip it onto her collar, and it's like a square, and it was big enough that I could put her blanket in the bottom of it and she could lay down and sleep if she wanted to. But then if she wanted to sit up and look around at the world, she could do that. She could sit up and look out over the top of the crate carrier thing. So that was a lifesaver. She didn't like it at first, but she soon figured out she wasn't getting out of that thing while we were traveling. So she gave up in disgust and laid down and slept most of the time. If she did feel, she got to know when the car was slowing down. So if she did feel the car slowing down, she would sit up and have a look around to see what was going on. And if we stopped, she definitely wanted out of that thing. So, but while we were actually traveling, it was great. When I had to go inside somewhere, my daughter bought a pet sling for her, which is just like a baby sling pretty much. It goes across the body, and then I could pop Princess Lulu in the front and she would be basically cradled up against me. It had a strap with a clip so I could clip it onto her collar, and depending on how squirmy she was when I put her in there, if I was really lucky, I could completely cover her up so that nobody could even see her and people just thought it was a baby. Sometimes we would have the little nose sticking out, and sometimes if she was really squirmy, she might have her legs poking out. But that made it so that I could have my hands free. She was really happy because she's I don't know if it's a Chihuahua thing or if it's just a her thing, but she loves touching. She loves touch, and so she loved that she was snuggled up against me, and I loved that I had my hands free, so I could carry my wallet, I could carry my phone and my keys, I could go to the toilet, all of those things. If you're a mum with a baby, you know how hard it can be to do those things when you're on your own. So those two things made it so much easier to travel on my own with a fur baby. The other thing I really want to say is that, and this saved me, is having backup fuel. This actually came from my dad. Best advice that he gave me on our trip to Uluru. We actually did a round trip to Uluru, and he made sure that I had a jerry can of fuel as backup. So in our case, that's diesel, and because it's diesel, backup AdBlue. We had to have a bottle of AdBlue and a bottle of oil as well as water because we were going to the outback. And so I still had that jerry can of diesel in the car, and I actually had to, in the van, and I actually had to use it. I got to the last fuel stop before my dad's at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and for some reason, they're not normally, but for some reason they were closed on this day. And so I still had quite a bit of fuel. I was just, because I was almost at my destination, I wanted to fuel it up in case I wanted to go anywhere after I got there. Just driving around fuel, really. But they were closed, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just continue. And then I got to probably about half an hour away from my dad's, and my fuel was almost down to 250 Ks, and I decided to put the jerry can in. And the reason for that is because when I had the van serviced, they had told me that I shouldn't let it get below 250 Ks because it's got a high pressure fuel pump. And if it gets below that, it can make the fuel pump work harder, which can reduce the life of my fuel pump a lot quicker than what it would normally, which didn't sound good to me. Apparently, they're expensive little critters, the fuel pump. So I'm very pedantic about not letting it go below 250 kilometres worth of fuel now. So I decided to put the jerry can in to make sure that I didn't. And when we bought the jerry can, we bought a special nozzle that attaches to it that makes it easier to put it in the van. So that made it a lot easier. I mean, a jerry can full of fuel is not light. It's got a bit of weight in it. So to pick it up and tip it up into the van, especially holding on to Princess Lulu at the same time, because I couldn't leave her in the van on her own because who knows what she would get into. And she's very distressed too. She wants to be around me or around a human all the time. That made it so much easier. So I definitely would recommend that if you're going on an adventure like this, that you have the same kind of thing. It's really important to let go of perfection. I mean, at Be Me Bites, at Be Me HQ, it's definitely the motto. We check the perfectionist hat at the door, and it's important to have that mindset and to stay flexible on these adventures, because otherwise you just get so stressed out when things don't go to plan, and that's most of the time in my case. So I've definitely had to learn to let go of perfection. When things change, just roll with it. That's where the hidden gems come from. That's where all those special moments and things happen on those detours, just like I said at the beginning, that would never have happened if everything went to plan. And that's really the magic of it. And these lessons apply to whatever it is in life. Doesn't matter whether you're moving house or whether you're changing careers or whether you just feel stuck. Just again, let go of perfection, stay flexible, and just focus on taking that step forward. Sometimes it might be to the side. Sometimes it might even feel like you're going backwards, but just moving, and you will eventually get to where you need to get to. That's pretty much it for this episode. The van renovations are well on their way. They're not finished yet, but they're definitely on their way. And I'm really excited to actually get started properly on my van life adventure. But it definitely has begun. I'm definitely out of the comfort zone. I'm loving that I'm out of the comfort zone. I'm loving that nothing is staying the same and that everything is changing. It can be a bit scary, but that's okay. It all comes with it. And I really am enjoying it. So the written edition of the actual journey, Be Me Bites 46 on the Road, the first leg of an epic van life adventure. I will make sure that all of the links to the things I've mentioned are in there. And there also will be some other things that I haven't mentioned, because I haven't mentioned everything in this episode that is in the written episode. So definitely in the written edition, I should say. So definitely go and check that out. And if you do subscribe to Be Me Bites, then you get a free online copy of any one of my books of your choice. And when you subscribe, you get an email that tells you how to claim that. So that's it for this episode. Until the next episode, keep taking one step at a time, and keep going on your adventures. Keep stepping out of your comfort zone, and just enjoy wherever life takes you. I know I am. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Remember to check out the show notes, and if you have any comments, feedback or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. If you've received value from this podcast, make sure to subscribe, and I'd love you to rate and review the show. Have a fabulous day.